Welcome back, everyone.
This is our 4th episode
This is our Halloween special. Happy Halloween.
from Sin Framundo. Today, we're going to be sharing our own paranormal experiences, and what better way to share some spooky stories than with a friend?
We're going to be hearing your spooky experience today, and we're very excited to listen to it. Sophie's cracking up right here, so let's see what kind of spooky experiences she have to share. Me being the teacher in class.
Like, you're laughing? Okay.
What's the answer to?
What do you have to say? Well, I can say one experience that I've had that was, I guess you can define it as a disembodied voice.
Girl.
It was around 2 a.m. I was in middle school, and I was at my grandmother's house. And next to me was my little brother. He was sleeping, and then my mom. I had the volume down on the TV. I was watching The Daily Show with Jon Stewart because I had missed it at 11, and I stayed up to watch it at 2, which was my usual thing because, you know, in middle school you'd be staying up late.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't laying down. I was laying against the wall. I had my arms crossed. And then all of a sudden I hear like this growl, this scream. I don't know how you would describe it, but I'm going to imitate it, right? In my left ear. It went like this.
That sounds like a weak ass emo band or something.
Yeah, honestly though. And it started off really low, and then it got louder to the point that it made me flinch. And I looked next to me and nothing was there. I tried to debunk it. We were on the 2nd floor.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so I was thinking, okay, was there something by the window? I was like, no, we're on the 2nd floor. I looked out the window, nothing was there. The window was closed. I looked, to my brother, my mom, they're sleeping. So I'm freaking the fuck out. And again, the TV was low. I don't understand what happened. And then I go and wake up my mom, Mom, I heard something really evil growl in my ear. And then she's just like, just pray. And then she goes back asleep. And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm scared. Like, Jesus isn't going to help me right now. I'm fucking scared right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that was probably the creepiest thing. That even for years, I was afraid to even tell anybody about it because I was afraid that thing or whatever that was, that disembodied voice, is going to come back.
Does this, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, I'm sure you did. Did this happen at your mom's house or your grandma's house?
My grandmother's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you mentioned before, like, things have gone on in there, like...
Yeah, there interesting things has happened. That same room was actually the first room that I ever experienced sleep paralysis.
Is it the downstairs room or the upstairs room?
It's an upstairs room.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that same exact room I experienced sleep paralysis, which we could also get into, but I'll let you tell your story first.
So I personally have never experienced anything paranormal, but, like, I have stories, like, my family experienced. And kind of I did, not really, because I can't really remember. But basically, we used to live in the valley in, like, this, like, house in Pacoima. And what my mom told me, one time when I was little, I was, like, barely, like, a newborn. She was, like, I don't know, she was, like, cooking in the kitchen. And my older sister and my older brother were watching TV in the living room, and she had me in the room. And when she had me in the room, out of nowhere, like, I guess, like, the house started shaking, and she thought it was, like, an earthquake.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. So she, like, was freaking out, and then the TV where my older brother and my older sister were watching TV, like, it started going, like, like, when it gets that gray
The static, yeah.
Yeah, so then, she, like, the first thing she does is she tries to go running towards me where I was in the room, and then the door just shuts. And then when the door shuts, she can't open it. And she's, like, trying to, like, and I'm like, she hears me crying in the room, and she's trying to open it, and she can't open it. And then out of nowhere, like, everything just stops, and then the door just opens. And then, like I said, she didn't think anything of it because, like, she thought it was an earthquake. And then when she ran out, she went to go ask the neighbors, and they were like, what earthquake are you talking about? Like, we didn't have any earthquake.
So that was straight up some demonic, I feel like.
Yeah, every time she would hang, like, anything that had to do with God, like, anything like that.
Religion.
She would hang, like, rosaries or, like, crosses and stuff. That shit would fall off. It would not stay on the walls. Yeah.
That's scary as fuck. Mm-hmm. book the fuck out of that house.
Yeah, I don't know why my parents stayed there for that long, but I believe that was one of the reasons why they moved out too. It was a lot of things, but that was like one of the things as well. And then I remember my older brother, one time he had like a Halloween mask. I don't know what kind of character it was. Mm-hmm. And my mom, after all that started going on, she was like super anti like Halloween and all that stuff. And she told him like, you better get rid of that mask. And so as many times as he tried to throw away that mask, it would keep reappearing in the house for some reason. To the point where they buried it under like a huge rock. Like, I'd probably say the rock is probably like the size of this table. And then that rock is there to this day because my aunt lives there now.
So the mask is still under there?
Yeah.
So she thinks.
Oh, God, who knows where it reappeared.
Imagine it reappears. Like,
it's like in our closet.
At your parents' house right now?
Hell no. Yeah.
That's like a good like plot to like a horror movie, actually. You guys should write that.
It could have been the new Conjuring, huh?
Yeah, should write
there
it.
Longer. That was one of the creepy experiences I experienced, but I was too little to remember. And then, like, back in the day, every other weekend, we would go visit my aunt. Because after my dad moved out, he sold the house to my aunt, which she lives there to this day. And we would go over or whatever. And then I remember one time, I was, like, sitting in the living room, and I was overhearing, like, the cheeseman, like, the adults talking shit. I was trying to be a metiche. My aunt was telling my dad, like, I was in the kitchen, and it was, like, 3 in the morning, and I was cooking lunch for my husband. And I, like, looked toward, because the kitchen, if, like, you're standing there, like, you can turn around and you'll, like, face the living room, which will be, like, the couches with the way she has it set up. So she said one time she, like, turned around and she saw, like, the Llorona sitting on the couch.
Oh, hell no, bro.
Yeah, and then I remember me hearing that shit, and we were going to sleep over that night, dude. And then I had just finished playing Resident Evil, which back in the day, like, if you had Nintendo 64.
No, yeah, no, it was scary.
That game was creepy as fuck, but I love that game.
Yeah. Wait, so how does she know it's like La Llorona? Was she all wet? Mi hijos or like everything? Or?
Honestly, I don't know how she knew, but she knew because my mom also had said, when she said that, she's like, my mom said, oh, también me salió a mí un día en esta casa. Same kind of like
no.
story
There's something
too.
there, dude. There's like some sort of, what do they call that? A portal? Those entities are able to come in.
What, like a time lapse or something?
They say
like
some
that?
houses can have portals
Mm-hmm.
that basically anything, you know, spiritual or not spiritual can enter like the space. They have to close it.
Yeah, so it could be that, honestly. The house is old, so it has like a lot of history. And then I do remember seeing like handprints in the cement, like, you know, like those old, I don't remember what year it was, but it was like back in the day. I heard my freaking aunt say that, and I was freaking the fuck out. I was like, fuck, this is what I get for being a metiche. Now I can't sleep. I remember I started crying.
You're like, I regret
Dad, let's
listening
get the
to
fuck
this
out of this
story,
house.
man.
Yeah.
Imagine plot twist. They just did that so that you could stop fucking being a little,
Low
like,
key.
metiche,
They're like,
little
mira
chismosa.
esta pinche escuincla, like, let's
fuck
change the
with
conversation.
her.
Yeah. No, but for real, she was being legit. Like, I remember I started crying, and then she tried to play it off. She's like, no, mija, no estábamos hablando de eso. Like, we're talking about something else. And I was like, nah, bro, I heard
Like,
you.
I heard every word.
Yeah. But that's pretty much what we experienced in that house. In our newer house, which we don't live, we moved back. Duh. Well, my parents moved back. I say we because I feel like my parents' house is like my house too, low-key. Yeah. It's like homey. That house, when we moved in, we just blessed. My mom had it blessed because she was like, I'm not trying to deal with that shit.
Yeah. I think I would do that to anywhere I lived. I would bless it, you know, clean it, cleanse the space.
Yeah, and we never, like, I love that house. Like, the house they live in now, like, that house, like, I've never experienced anything. I feel so homey. So whatever was in that house stayed in that house. I don't know if my aunt still deals with things. Obviously, she did disclose it when I was younger, but I don't know if it's, like, still ongoing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty creepy shit.
At that point, if it's still there, I gotta start paying rent, my guy.
Please, everybody, let's welcome Hermes.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
That's a wild story. I just want to say that.
Really? Hell yeah.
House. I've never experienced anything paranormal. Like, yeah, nah.
No, well, like, I haven't, but, like, you know, like,
had.
You know how, like, people, like, say, like, they heard, they seen, like,
yeah,
I've never in my life,
like, firsthand.
Yeah, my family has, and, like, technically I was a newborn, but I'm not gonna remember that. But, like, yeah, pretty crazy story.
I feel it. Yeah, no, like, what I was about to say is actually it has to do with the house too. It was like back when like pretty much, I think it was '05.
Mm-hmm.
My family decided to like leave, you know, like California, move to Texas. They're like, oh yeah, you know, houses are cheaper, like that whole thing, you know.
House.
So
Dang,
we
that was even going
packed up.
on back then.
Seriously, because
Yeah.
Texas be having the cheapest houses still, like even back in the day, even more. I'm sure.
Yeah, and honestly, like I mean, I knew houses were cheap in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
but when we pulled up, like this house was big. It was like 6 bedrooms, had like 3.5 bathrooms. Like it was big, like with a huge yard that backed into a forest.
Damn,
It was like,
that sounds
you know,
beautiful.
it was beautiful, and I was like, dang, like how are we affording this, right? Well, let me tell you how. Tell you how.
It came with the catch.
So pretty much as soon as we walked in, there was just vibes. Like there was vibes that like I don't know, something was weird. But I thought I don't, you know, being a little kid, I was like, oh, it's just a new space, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it doesn't feel like home because we just moved in.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't overthinking it or anything like that. But then we started moving in. And my 2 sisters, because you know I have a big family, like I'm the 5th of 6 kids, so we all had to share rooms, even though there were 6 bedrooms. I don't know. My mom wanted her office, you know, my dad wanted his chill room, so we were all sharing rooms, right? And pretty much my sister's room, 2 of my sister's rooms, that they shared a room, right? Like 2 of my sisters, and pretty much like when you walked into that room, it was just colder than the rest of the other, like the rest of the house.
No.
And you know, this is Texas, right? So it gets hot and it gets humid. But that room was cold, like cold. And if you look at the windows, you would see like water, just like it was like always moist. Like the window was always moist and cold and like low-key foggy. And it would just feel like you know there was like water coming down from it, like little tiny drops, you know.
Yeah.
I asked my dad about it. My dad was just like, oh, you know, there might be like a leak or like, you know, trying to justify, you know, trying to make it logical. You know, maybe that's why it's cold too, you know, maybe there's, you know, I don't know. I was a little kid. I left it at that. And so we started moving in, and no, we did move in, and then there was this door to the left side of the room. And when they say like, you know, like everything's bigger in Texas, like this room was fucking huge. Like this room is
like
huge.
they mean it.
Like when I said window, like it was like a lot. It was like, I don't know, there was like 2 closets, right? So pretty much there was this door, right? And it was just like it wouldn't open. And at first, like no one really questioned it. We're like, okay, you know, it's a house from the 1920s. A door doesn't open, so what, right? There's all these other like cabinets, you know, built in closet. Who cares? My dad's who cares?
Shit, I don't blame your dad. Like,
yeah, I would
watch-
want to know too.
I'd
to
watch,
be honest.
yeah, I'd watch too many scary movies. Like, if I see a door that can't open, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, what's in there? Like, just curious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was mad curious, and so he didn't let it go. And so he's like, I'm going to find out what's behind this door. And so they tried, you know, like taking the doorknob off. That wasn't like the way the doorknob was built. Like you just couldn't do that. You know, they tried taking the hinges. The way it was built, you just couldn't do that. It was just in there, right? It kind of looked like the door, like you open it from the outside rather than it getting pulled inward. It was getting pulled outward. It was kind of like reversed. And so it was just really weird that it wasn't opening. And so my dad got frustrated and he's like, I'm just going to take an axe to it. Like fuck the door completely. Like I just want to know what's on the other side, you know? And so him and my uncle were just, you know, hitting it with the axe, like back, you know, like really trying to just fuck up the door, right? They like open it and it's like a closet. It's just a closet, like a closet just there. But before they got to the closet, you know, it was just like brick wall, like a brick wall had been built
Blocking the closet, basically.
In the closet, and it was just like a little closet space, and there was a brick wall. It just had been built. That's why the door wouldn't open. And I'm talking about like this door was like OG door, like, you know, actual wood, like not hollow, like the doors are nowadays, like real wood, you know. So it was like once they got past that, they were just hitting cement. And then they went through that too. With the sledgehammer, and you know, got to the little closet. So we thought that was weird.
That's creepy.
Yeah, very, very, right?
It sounds like a horror movie.
For sure. Like the brick wall just did it. It's like so random, just there.
Some Winchester house,
Yeah.
like,
Seriously.
and so like, I don't know. We kind of left it at that, right? At this point, no one was correlating this weird closet that we just found with, the room being cold or anything like that. But it was just like the vibes were weird, And so me and my siblings did want to know what was happening. So there was this guy that lived next door, and we just essentially went up to him and we are like, "Hey, like, did anything weird happen in our house?" And he was just like, just go get your dad. Go get your dad." So we're like, okay, that's weird. So we went inside. We got my dad. My dad came out, started talking to him, and they're like having a conversation. Then he comes back in. And he's like he said that like this house might be haunted.
Oh, hell no.
It's like all nonchalant. I was like, oh, well, now I know it was cheap. It wasn't just because it was Texas.
It was
like,
that and because it's haunted.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened?
Yeah.
We're like, I want to know. We eventually find out because Tom, grew up there. Tom, the next door neighbor,
Shout
grew
out
up
Tom.
there. Yeah, shout out to Tom for the info.
Tom from Texas.
The realtor failed you guys.
And so, pretty much Tom said that there used to be this girl that lived next door, and they had grown up together. They both grew up, in the houses next door to each other. And then one day she just stopped going to school. And, no one really thought anything about it because her sibling was saying, like that she, they're just homeschooling her. Like no one really thought anything, but then her friends would come around trying to, like, oh, okay, she's homeschooled, whatever, but can we hang out with her? Parents will always say, she's busy, she's busy, she's busy, she's busy. No one saw her for months. Then the family just moved away.
Oh, what the fuck?
And no one knew where that family went. Like they just completely disappeared from the map. No one ever heard from them again. Like they just completely disappeared from the map. Comes, like I guess the bank, right? At that point, it's an assumption the bank probably took the house since they weren't paying the mortgage,
Yeah.
assumption here, right? They sold the house again. New people, open up this closet and there's essentially like corpse
What
my
the fuck?
God.
No,
With
this is a
one
crazy ass
plate.
story.
Yeah.
with one plate in the closet.
Oh my God.
And like apparently like in the doors you could see like the scratch marks. You could see scratch marks.
Oh
You could
my
see
God.
all different, like dried blood, like etc. Like the whole ordeal.
Dude, I can't believe I'm
so-
hearing this story from like someone that like like this sounds like,
Like, this is
something.
real?
Yeah, this is real. What?
And so it pretty much turned out that like we don't really know what happened between her and her family, but something caused them to lock her in the closet essentially.
Yeah.
For who knows how long, right? Who knows how long? She was gone for months from school. And who knows if she died before
or after.
they moved and they just left her there.
Oh, that's
So evil.
that's so evil. Because you mentioned that the closet was very small, right?
The closet was, it was small. It was a closet.
God.
It was a closet.
Typical closet size.
Imagine, dude. Like that's
Being in there.
like I
Yeah.
wonder what drove. I mean, not that there should be an excuse for it, but I'm just curious. Like, what made them do that? Like, that's so random and weird.
I mean, mine immediately goes to, how, especially back in the day, misogyny, they just wanted to control her and keep her inside.
I know sometimes families like, I guess like jail or, cage people up whenever they're going to, either like tell on them about something sketch they're doing or like, make them look bad, something like that. Like, but I asked Tom, like the neighbor, I asked him, like, after he knew, he was like open about talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't want to tell a random, 9-year-old, they found a dead girl in your closet.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said that he didn't know either. Nobody knew the motive. No one. I mean, it was like talk of the town, like this is like a town, Everyone heard about this story, and no one knew why.
That's so sad. And you said they found a plate, so they were kind of feeding her. Like, that sounds awful.
So they found like a legit corpse. Like, you probably don't have all this information. I'm curious to know, was the corpse like, was just skeletal remained, or was like an actual, like, was she still like, how do I say it, like recently dead, or?
Yeah, I had that same question, and I asked my neighbor. He said that it was just really bad. He said it was horrific.
Dude, imagine being those people that just bought the house and seeing that
and finding this body.
And they
or
instantaneously essentially just locked it all away, try to pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, honestly, I think I would block it off too. Block.
Wait, so the people that moved in afterwards found the corpse, whatever, like they told the cops, I'm assuming, and then they just continued to live there and then just built that brick wall just to forget about it.
According to my ex-neighbor, yeah, that's pretty much what they did that. Dude. And they lived there for years before they decided to sell.
Nah, I would have figured out a way to get out of the house. I'm sorry.
No, the reason why I brought up the plate was because I remember you told me that plates would break in your house.
Really?
Yeah, and that's so that's what happened, right? That's the backstory. I'm not even talking about what we experienced while we were there.
Damn, it's about to get real right now.
So while we were there, like I said, my sister's room was always really cold, like their room was cold, and now we knew why. The TV would randomly turn on. It was like around midnight. It was like not midnight exactly, but it was like this particular time, and I don't remember the time, but it was just like it would just turn on. And I remember I would like test it too. I would literally like be like, okay, I'm being the last one going to sleep. I'm gonna turn this off, if it's on, and I'm gonna be the first one to wake up. If it's on in the morning, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it would be on every single morning, no matter who would wake up in the morning, it was already on. And then also we would hear dishes moving in the kitchen. Like it wasn't just me. Like the first time I heard it, I was going to use the bathroom. I went, and then like I would hear dishes, and I was like, what? Like, what is that? Went downstairs, and it's like there was nothing. And then dishes would break. Like it sounded like dishes would break. Like if someone just grabs a dish and throws it to the floor, and you go down there and there's nothing.
Not even a broken dish?
There's nothing. I try to like in my mind, try to make it logical. I was like, oh, maybe it's a rat, moving through the dishes or something, breaking. No, there's no broken dishes.
That's still like a scary thing to hear. Like that's like a loud ass noise. Like I'm sure like if it's like quiet or you're like relaxing, you hear like the big like clash of like the plate falling on the floor. That would like scare the hell out of me, even when it actually does happen.
Jump, yeah.
Yeah. And you said this happened like a lot, like the whole plate's breaking.
Yeah. Oh. And so, yeah, I mean, we dealt with it. I mean, we didn't live there for too long. It was like a year and a half. Everyone, it kind of became like normal to talk about it. Like, oh yeah, the girl,
house.
Like my parents would just say like, la niña, like, la niña, la niña hizo esto, la niña hizo esto, like, no, like it just became normal. Like it wasn't even, because she didn't do anything, like particularly, evil. Yeah. So it just was, but I don't know. And then, for a little bit, my mom was like, you released this, into our house when you, opened the door, and then, but I think the vibes were there before, if I'm being honest, like the vibes were there.
I mean, especially with the temperature change and everything.
Yeah, definitely. And, and then also right after we moved, we sold the house to my uncle. And so my cousins and my, my uncle also lived there. And I just went to Texas 3 weeks ago. And, I reunited with them, and, they started talking about all the wild stuff that they went on, like, that went on in that house while they lived there.
Oh, I was going to say, you visit that house again, like, if they were still living there? So they moved out afterwards, too, like, they're not living there anymore?
Yeah, they, now their cousins live there.
Oh, my God. What's up with, like, families selling haunted houses to their other families?
So my second cousins live there now.
Have you talked to them about if they're experiencing anything?
Honestly, I didn't see them when I went over there. Like, well, I mean, it was more like a hi-bye type situation, so I didn't really get to talk to them about it. But my cousin, me and my sister, we were, sharing what we experienced, and then she started talking about how she would feel that when she was like walking up in the middle of the night, she would feel like someone pat her shoulder and then walk like, and then there isn't anything there. And like I said, like once you know this story, you're kind of like in your mind, you're just kind of like, yeah, there's a ghost here, right? Like it's not really like scary all that much to you, but it's just like
there's kind of like an explanation behind whatever's happening, right?
Yeah, I guess you just have to get used to it, right?
Yeah, I would not be able to sleep, to be honest.
I mean, I guess I have to be in your situation to like understand it, because even if I knew what happened, me, like, even though I have this podcast with Sophie and we talk about the paranormal, like I just like to talk about it, like I just like to like research it and stuff like that. But do I want to experience it myself? Hell no. And if I did, like, even if I knew the backstory, dude, I'd be a big pussy.
Yeah,
like,
I think I'd be screaming every little thing.
For sure.
Everything would freak me the fuck out.
I was going to ask you, because I think I had interrupted you earlier. You said that you went to go visit your uncle who previously lived there, and he told you that he also was experiencing things there when he lived there. Do you have any information regarding what he experienced?
Yeah, like I said, my cousin said that, she would feel like someone, and then they confirmed the plate TV thing. They also had that. They would also hear footsteps up and down the stairs. And it wouldn't be normal footsteps. It would be like running, like like someone's running up the stairs.
That's
and there wouldn't be anyone. Yeah, there was definitely, there was definitely her ghost was present for sure.
Yeah. For sure, a crazy story. Thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you. I was gonna ask, what are your personal theories on what poltergeists and what ghosts come from, or what do you think it is?
Yeah, I think with this particular situation, so my mind doesn't go all over the place. With this particular situation, I think that essentially the plates, were like probably her seeking food. Probably not getting enough food, and the breaking of the plates was probably frustration of starving to death, probably. And running up the stairs, running down is probably, a want to escape, wanting to get out of there. And then also like, I feel like ghosts tend to stick around to what they're, familiar with. And so she probably just stuck around in that room. Like, who knows if that room was her bedroom or not, but she probably just stayed there because even though, she experienced these horrible situations and living standards there, at one point it was her home, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder if like ghosts could go to like therapy.
Like, I know, right? Like, get away. You don't have to be here.
She could heal and move on.
Honestly, yeah. They deserve to. I know they say with ghosts, they believe that it's basically a time loop happening over and over again when it's usually associated with something really traumatic. And
I think that is what was probably happening.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with the changing of the temperature of the room and everything, she definitely hung out.
Do you know if Tom told you like how old she was, like around what age? Maybe
she was in high school. He didn't say what age, but she was in high school.
I feel like I've always heard stories like that of back in the day where when the girl gets older, the family starts to like want to control her because they're afraid that she's going to do something.
Kind of like the movie Carrie?
Yeah, straight up. Like, that's what it reminds me of, Carrie.
Have you watched that movie, Hermes?
I have not.
What?
Well, there's an 80s one, and then there's, or was it 70s or 80s? I don't remember. And there's one that came out like in 2011.
Oh, yeah, like the remake of it?
Yeah, it was a remake.
Which one do you think is better?
I like the original.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, you have to for sure watch that movie.
Yeah.
You're gonna think about that.
Anyone
who's
who's listening.
Yeah, because like I could see that happening.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have any other spooky stories you guys may want to share before we wrap it up.
Yeah. Well, I want us to say thank you, Hermes, again for being our guest and telling us your spooky stories.
Thank
Hermes,
you for listening.
Thank you for sharing. And I want to say also, Hermes is a great photographer, so you should follow his photography page.
Nice.
To our 5 listeners.
Yeah, it's at Hermes, Hermes, Tonatiuh, Tonatiuh. So yeah, follow me.
Plug it in.
He's a great photographer. You guys should follow him. And he's also a really good conversationalist, as you can tell. He's good at telling
Honestly,
stories.
this story that you told is probably one of like the top up there of the spookiest stories I've heard of someone that I know experiencing.
I got plenty more.
Yeah, he has
Oh,
a
no
ton.
way.
A ton. I'm telling you. It will not be the last time.
I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween, and if you're going to be out having fun this weekend, just be safe. Don't drink and drive. That's why there's Ubers, there's Lyft, and have fun.
Have fun. Be festive. Eat some treats. No tricks, just treats over here.
Yeah, no, definitely don't drink and drive. Get that Uber or Lyft if you can.
Yep.
If not, wait it out.
Exactly.
Eat a lot of food, drink a lot of water. Just
no hangovers on Monday.
Oh yeah, fuck that. Drink what was those powdered drinks that you recommended me last time? Before you start drinking.
What is it called, Hermes? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, B12. I mean, you could do B12 or liquid IV.
Liquid IV.
Yeah, take that shit before you start drinking.
Liquid IV. Take a liquid IV, guys.
That shit helps low key. I remember. Well, I haven't tried the blowfish, but I tried one similar to the liquid IV. It wasn't the same one you recommended.
Oh, okay.
I drank it before I started drinking, and the next morning I was like, good.
I feel like the liquid IV helped me for sure.
All right. Well, it was a fun podcast. Like I said, thank you, Hermes, for sharing your spooky story. I wish everybody a happy Halloween and have a good night.
Be safe.
Thank you again, Hermes, for coming by via Zoom and sharing your experience with us. Pretty spooky story. This also is for anyone else. If you're hearing this podcast and you want to share your spooky experience, feel free to send us an email. We are more than happy to share your spooky experience on one of our episodes.
And you can email us at sinframundopod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Sinframundo and Twitter at Sinframundopod. Thank you again for listening.